September 24th, 2015 meeting of the Boston Town Council to order. Rise to the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Announcements. I have an email from the Secretary of State's Open Meeting website indicating that this meeting was posted on September 22nd at 5:01 p.m. So we are in compliance with the meeting time. Public comment. I have no one signed in for public comment this evening. People will be recognized this evening if you wish to speak to an agenda item as we go through it. Minutes from September 10th.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes from September 10, 2015 as presented.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Warrants? Okay, so there's one abstention. 4-0, one abstention. Payroll warrant number 10.
I make a motion that we accept payroll warrant number 10 in the amount of $28,997.85.
Discussion on the warrant? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Payroll warrant number 11.
Make a motion that we accept payroll warrant number 11 in the amount of $29,666.06.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. General warrant 6A.
I'll be recusing myself on this one.
General warrant 6A.
Make a motion that we accept general warrant 6A in the amount of $400.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0 with one recusal. General warrant number 6.
Make a motion that we accept general warrant number 6 in the amount of $109,444.70.
Discussion?
I just have one question,
Yes?
and it might be more appropriate to ask it when we're reviewing the monthly reports. But the low value sale, it was we have $8,490. Is that from the $20,000 that we approved?
We collected 28 and it comes to
So that's,
the commission.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Monthly reports.
Make a motion that we accept the following monthly reports as presented for the month of August. Building and Zoning, Department of Public Works, Finance Department, Human Services, Planning Department, Police Department, Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation, and Tax Assessor.
Discussion on the monthly reports?
I do have some questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, actually, one thing to note that the Human Services on Tuesdays have a fall prevention activity, which I know it's been in the Foster Home Journal, but it's supposed to be very informative and helpful. So I just wanted to make people aware of that here. I thought that was a cute name, fall prevention in the fall.
Okay.
Secondly, and I know it's been something that's been ongoing, the Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation, that bar graph in the back, I don't know which one is recycling and which one is, yeah, I can't tell which one is which. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming they give us that.
They do give it to us, and they give it to us in color. I can start printing it out on a color printer if you like. The tallest bar is
The lower value is the recycling.
There was lower values there, so that's what I was afraid of.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. That was just my only.
Are there Further discussion on the monthly reports? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries unanimously. Quarterly reports.
I make a motion that we accept the following quarterly reports as presented, and these are past due from July. Conservation Commission, Land Trust, and Libraries.
Discussion on the monthly report, on the quarterly reports? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Can I ask one question? We have 4 missing reports. What are we doing? I think we've sent letters.
Yes.
Is there something more we can do to get these reports?
Well, we could always say we're not gonna send the funding out to that organization for that quarter until we get the reporting, and the council could do that. But what, Jen, could you let the council know what's been done to try to obtain the 4 missing quarterly reports?
Multiple emails, multiple phone calls,
From you?
from me and from Susan.
I'm
Primarily from Susan, because she handles that just as I did when I was the deputy.
wondering if a call from one of the council members might be appropriate.
Now, I had a call from Sharon Carter saying that she had these 2 quarterly reports done, and was going to be dropping them off this week. I haven't seen them yet, but,
And is that from,
It's
what-
the ambulance
is that
report
the
and
ambulance
EMA.
and EMA?
as far as foster home repair, I did get in touch with Joe Garlick yesterday by email and explained that, I hadn't realized that his predecessor had left. And so he said he would take care of it. I emailed him a copy of the last report we had received, and he said he would take care of that. Now, I don't know how quickly he'll get it, but I gave him one as an example. I don't know if they're going to standard one for every town. And who else is missing?
There's Moosup Valley. I can tell you about that one. I spoke to Sue. I was the secretary before, and it was my last quarterly report that was missing. My computer died. I brought it to Staples, and they were going to try to extract all my files off it and put it on a
Flash.
flash drive. And they weren't able to do it. So I lost those 3, but there's a new secretary, and I did give her email to Sue. So she was going to contact her.
I believe she
And I
did.
know that she did reach out to her. I don't know if she's had a response because Sue's been out 2 days this week, so.
That's something we could follow up on.
Of course.
I'm just wondering if it would be what the council feels as far as approaching these.
And then what we have done, excuse me, for example, the recreation committee has changed secretaries. Lynn Butler did it for years, and she's gone on to other things. And it's kind of a matter of nobody really wanting to do it, but what we've done is we sent out an email. We sent an example of past reports, so if it doesn't seem quite so frightening, if they have something to use as a guide, they have something to go by.
I mean, I certainly understand this is volunteers and that, they're all working in real life and now doing this to help out. I certainly appreciate that, but I would also like to know what's going on and if there's some way we can assist them.
But sometimes the word stop funding them until we get it, I think it's kind of harsh, because the only thing really not it is one of the big bills in the fire department and the rescue is leniency insurance. 85% of that town fund goes to the insurance. So if you don't fund them, the insurance doesn't get paid, the trucks can't leave the building.
It is harsh, that's why I posed it as an actual motion.
But it's always been mentioned.
Well, I would like
They
to,
didn't do the quarterly report for 6 years, what would you do?
Again, well then shut them down, if that's what you want to do, but I don't think that is appropriate, because like I said, she just said the volunteers, and that money primarily goes to insure your vehicles.
So we goal is to just get them, to get them on.
I mean, I'd be willing to make a phone call if I can get the contact information,
That would be fine.
okay?
Can we give
So-
that to you?
I can get the
Sue's
contact,
right.
can see Monday and get the contact information on the phone call.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Old business, use of tannerite exploding rifle targets. So this is something that a resident asked to be put on the agenda for the council to consider. And we've been carrying it for a little while, waiting for the state to assess what was gonna be done on the state level. I asked the chief if he could follow up on that, and just give us an update.
Yeah, contacted the Rhode Island Fire Marshal's bomb squad division, and there's been no progress or no, anything at the state level as far as banning it statewide or reducing it. I contacted a couple politicians, and there's no progress or nothing pending. I believe it's one state has outlawed it. Several communities throughout the country have tried to use local ordinances to try to eliminate it. They've met the challenges as far as rights. And again, we've looked at each one of them. It does, if we do send an officer out to every one of the reports, we've met with the people that have been detonating it. They are shooting responsibly in a safe backdrops, with permission from local owners or outside that 500-foot radius. Again, it does hide off an officer, but again, they are shooting responsibly and within the laws. And again, I can't speak for the veterinary problems or the livestock problems.
Okay, well, my inclination at this point, we've discussed it, we've been waiting for the state to do something. I don't think it's reasonable for the town to do something that the state, how do we make something illegal, it's illegal in the state? How do we address that? So my inclination is to consider this fully explored by the council at this time, drop it off of our future agenda items until such time as the state takes some formal action. Unless another council member wishes to have it put back on the agenda, I would just say that this concludes our discussion at this time. Mrs. Ryder?
I just have a question. Other than making things blow up and disturbing the peace, does Tannerite have any other use other than recreational?
Mr. Robbins?
It isn't making anything blown up. What tannerite is used for is on a long distance range, when you can't see if you're hitting your target, the detonation, the small explosion, you're not blowing anything up, goes off to let you know you're on target. It's target practice, basically.
Excuse me, well, I have this video that would repeat that.
Yeah, you can make a car dangerous, you can make many things dangerous. Used properly, that is the sole purpose of it.
Make things go blue.
Okay, so does anyone have any comments or discussion?
Mr. Rouge,
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I should wear my glasses.
Mr. Robbins, I don't have much direct experience with Tannerite, so I'm just curious what an adequate amount to achieve that purpose would be.
They sell it commercially as exporting goods in basically two different types, a 1 pounder and a 2 pounder. And then they make some that is 22 shell sensitive. Basically, you need a 223 round or bigger. A pistol ain't gonna work, a shotgun won't work. It's a heavy round, other than small 1 pounders made for 22s. Commercially used, that's how but anybody can, more the better in a lot of people's mind, but I've used it quite a bit, and I've never exceeded the amount that's sold properly and mixed properly. It's usually the biggest ones you can get are 2 pounders.
So 1 pound would provide a shooter with confirmation that
Yes, it is a smaller target though on the 1 pounder, so the further you are away, it's almost impossible to even see what you're shooting at. The 2 pounders, a bigger can, if you're 200 or 300 yards out, it's easier to get.
can I ask?
Any further discussion?
I'd like to make one comment, if I may, just to let you know, I did talk to the state veterinarian this morning, just to see if he had had any complaints from any livestock owners around the state regarding this, and he had not.
I'd like to also add that I have 3 horses when I use this stuff, and they've been as close as 7,500 feet, and they just look up.
Okay, so I expect we'll leave this up to the state unless someone asks for it to be reintroduced on the council. abatements from the tax assessor.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the tax assessor for proration additions and abatements for real estate first appeal abatement, total abatements of $3,266.55, and tangible additions for a total addition of $429.97.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next item, we have a letter from the Foster Ambulance Corps. Which we can read into the record. Honorable Town Council, the Foster Ambulance Corps has, through sound fiscal management, been able to put aside enough funds to purchase a new rescue vehicle. We will not need to use any capital fund money for this project. We are currently working on specifications for this new vehicle. Due to the condition of the vehicles in the current fleet, we are doing this as quickly as possible. We are on the capital budget schedule for the coming year, 2016-17, for $200,000 for a new rescue truck. We would like to reduce that amount to $30,000 and then use those funds to purchase 2 Lucas CPR machines. These machines will do the heart compression portion of CPR, freeing up personnel in the back of the truck to perform other life-saving duties. It will be especially useful when there is a shortage of qualified help. We have seen a rise in these types of calls lately. We are trying to set the vehicles on an 80,000 mile replacement cycle. We have surveyed surrounding communities and found that this is the most common replacement time frame. We cannot guarantee that we will be able to save enough funds in that time frame to completely pay for the next vehicle in 4 years. We are requesting to remain in the capital plan for a new truck 4 years from now. It is vital that we adhere to this timetable to keep the fleet on a rigid replacement schedule. We appreciate your support in this endeavor. Thank you sincerely, Foster Ambulance. I'm not sure this requires any council action as much as it was just indicating that to us, which we just go forward through the budget process unless someone has a question or comment.
Could we have discussion?
Absolutely.
Would you like me to make a motion to have discussion? Or can we just
No,
discuss?
go ahead. I'm not sure what motion you'd make, so go ahead. What's your discussion? What's your question?
I'm hearing opposing views or feelings on this as far as the capital budget schedule and the 200,000. I guess maybe Kelly would be appropriate if you would ask her.
Well,
Sure, go ahead.
here it looks like he's asking us to lower the amount that we've approved to $30,000. But there's a process for this, and I think what they're thinking is that even though they have a schedule of replacement, that we have set aside $200,000 for a future purchase of a new vehicle, and we have not. So to lower that amount, that's just something that has to come up through the whole budget cycle again.
Next
So we'll
year's
request $30,000, and then we'll reprioritize what needs to be purchased and figure it out from there. My second comment on this is about whose name would this piece of property be in? Would it be in the town of Foster's name, or the Foster Ambulance Corps' name?
For this particular truck, if they're purchasing it with their funds,
But their funds primarily come from us. So any fund balance that they have, that they've managed to save, it's just something that should be decided or discussed, in my opinion.
I think we need to know, I'm sorry, I know it has to go through you, John.
Go ahead.
I think it has to be determined where the funds are coming from. Is it through their fundraising activities? Have they been able to raise enough money? Or is it a combination of their fundraising and our monies? Or is it all our monies?
I don't believe that they've raised $170,000 in fundraising. So I'm willing to go on a limb and say that. As far as, they're gonna say that, they do collect billings, so they bill people if they pick them up through a rescue and they have insurance, they will bill them for that, so they do receive funds for that.
For example, my family member just received her bill for a ride to the hospital, and it was north of $2,500 for a ride from Forsterly to the hospital. Now, so if you're billing that, I'm sure insurance company's paying it, can't come to the town asking for money too. It's interesting how they collected so much money, and I believe it's through the third-party billing system.
Well, I think that's information we have to find out, we can't just assume,
Try
so, that,
that.
So it's two separate issues. One issue is the budget, which will be handled through the budget process.
Right, exactly.
And the second issue is the ultimate ownership of the vehicle.
Exactly.
And that would,
and I'm not sure that tonight's the night to discuss that. Certainly it's not on the agenda, but it's not on the agenda, but it's certainly something to bring up at some point.
so we can add that to our future agenda items list.
Could we wait before we do that?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to put things that Mr. Rogers had said in the past, having things on this future agenda and then they're there for a while. I would rather gather some information first
Okay.
and then put it on the agenda.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Mrs. Ryan?
Regardless of the answer to those questions, would it be appropriate for the council to send a letter just commending them for using the town funds wisely, I suppose?
Let's wait for the information she's trying to get
Okay.
and ensure that that's the case. Mr. Bay?
How can it be that the ambulance corps, the volunteer organization has a certain budget from the town, can just save so much money, when the volunteer fire department just scraping along? Something is still not right. And because the money from the fire department needs to be raised, or the money from the ambulance corps needs to be lower. Something is not right. As they can save $170,000. When some fire station needs new trucks, and the town is scraping along to get this fire stations and new trucks, and they have $170,000 sitting around that can be used for other things here in the town, for the fire department or the ambulance corps to buy their equipment. Something is not right in my eyes. And secondly, the other two pieces they want to purchase. It's very expensive equipment. And this is really worth to purchase this two pieces of equipment here for this town. How many CPRs they doing in 1 year? In this time where I'm on the volunteer, Foster's and the volunteer fire department, we did one in the restaurant called I attended. And it cost $15,000 or $20,000 a piece. Is it really worth to invest this money, or should we spend it wisely on other things? For fire department or ambulance corps?
Mr. Sebastian?
Overall, this is the problem with having a quasi-public entities. For years, the libraries, Gordon, you'll remember this, they were taking $130,000, $140,000, $150,000 a year 10, 20 years ago, and never reporting what was in their books. So they're taking money from the town and then saying, not reporting what they have and asking for more. That's a general comment. I really don't have an opinion about the ambulance corps, but that's quasi-public entities digging into your pocket and then tell you what a good job they're doing for you.
Okay, so we'll wait for additional information and for it to be requested to be put back on the agenda. Next item is Code Red Memorandum of Agreement with Remo. This was brought forward by the police chief, so I'll ask him to speak to this.
What the code red is an emergency notification system for the community and or the state. It actually goes back to Chief Cohen's administration. He looked into it, and even at that time, it was the price would be borne by the town. Since then, REMA through EMA, through that agency, they are funding the emergency notification portion of it. There's strict criteria. They're going to train 4 members of the community. And my suggestion would become they need a single point of contact would be the lead contact for the town, and 3 other basically liaison that we train in the system. And if there was a local emergency, the steps would be taken, the protocol and policies would be followed to notify the community. It's a voluntary system. I've already posted on our Facebook page. I would be asking the town to post it on their website and other places throughout town. So the community could sign up for this. It'd be notified by either landline or cell phone, and I'm almost positive a text message or email. And again, in the event of an emergency, a lot of the emergencies would be dictated by the state in case of a hurricane, blizzard, that type of thing. Local emergencies could be an overturned truck, something, again, as small as, a missing person, missing child, to be on the lookout, that type of thing. So again, the cost is borne by the REMA. There is a community notification portion of it that the town, in example, if you wanted to cancel tonight's town council meeting, that would have to be picked up by the town. My recommendation, I will probably be in a single point of contact. I've already contacted Sharon Potter, who is the EMA director, Aaron Marjolin, who is the Foster Center Fire Chief, and the other one would be Captain Boulder from the police department.
So you are recommending that the town enter into this agreement with me?
Yes.
With you yourself or police chief as the...
Single point of contact, and that can be changed at any time.
Has the solicitor had the opportunity to review this?
I have, and it's a good contract, it's good for us, it really doesn't cost us anything, and we are able to take advantage of the states setting this up. As long as we use it for only emergency purposes, and that's what the hierarchy of the contracts is from. Good, simple.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept this?
I make a motion that we accept the Code Red Memorandum of Agreement as presented.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Just, okay, the next item, also from the police chief, request for professional cleaning services at the police station. We have a letter, and I'll ask the chief to speak to this.
And again, just, the police department's at 24/7, we have a public building, we have 18 employees in and out of it during, whatever, whatever. The manning of the town hall, or the DPW is, and again, when I started, I believe it was 7 or 8, but when I started in 1995, we did have a professional cleaning company. There's liability issues with bloodborne pathogens. The people that we do bring in sometimes aren't the cleanest. We have diseases, we have everything.
Not you personally, that's
No,
what
not
I'm
me personally. And again, it is a 24/7, our employees deserve a clean place, and we did hire the company that I am recommending, General Maintenance, out of Situate. They've been in business for quite a while. They also clean the Situate Police Department. I did hire them through DPW. It took 3 days to clean the building over there, a spring clean, a thorough clean, and again, for better terms, it's a pigsty, or it has been a pigsty.
Okay, so you're requesting that the council authorize contracting with these general maintenance company.
And they did provide a quote to clean the building once a week for $90. They provide all their cleaning, they provide all their equipment, they provide all the supplies, and it would be cleaned by a professional company.
So that would come to $4,500 $4,680 per year.
Yes, I did speak to the DPW director, and he did say it's in his buildings and grounds, but
Well, that's the next question. Where is the money gonna come from? That's the next question. So, since the DPW director is not in attendance this evening, I'll ask the treasurer, is there money in the budget, do you believe, in the line item to cover this?
If he says there is, because, but he'll have to cut something else out, it wasn't in the original projection of what was to be paid from that line item now.
I did remember that the buildings and grounds budget was at a certain level, and it was raised to maintain the buildings, and cleaning the building would be maintaining the buildings.
Any questions from the council?
Well, that was my concern too, because when we do budget talks, I think every penny's come and go over it twice and explain why that's needed specifically with dollar amounts addressed to it. And I mean, it's just under the amount where we have to go out to a competitive bid. I just find it odd that we can find almost $5,000 in budget parks and grounds when we're sitting here at budget talks saying the roofs are caving in, we need everything we can get. I'm not disagreeing with it, it's just, when you tell the taxpayers, you know, you got a 4% raise, we crossed all our T's and dotted our I's, and we sit here and say, hey, I got $5 grand to clean the police station for a year. That scares me, somebody was lying to me during budget talks. Or misrepresenting.
Strong word.
Well, I do take that back, misrepresenting where funds were going or allocated for. That's a true statement.
For my part, because the chief mentioned liability, I have spoken to Joe, more of a one-way discussion, had at least had a two-way discussion with him, but I have with the chief. Without getting into details yet, it's a horror show having union, regular employees cleaning where there could be, you know, some serious things. You've got potential of people dealing with syringes, with, you know, all kinds of material that we no longer even use trash cans for. I mean, it has to be taken out. Supposedly, it should be taken out in an exact fashion that prevents it from even going into a general stream of trash. So there's a lot to cleaning that type of area. And I know we don't even do that.
Are there any concerns about access to private information or confidential information?
With someone working like that,
Yeah.
I would suggest that either someone would be there with them or that information is tied down.
yeah, and again, our confidential information is behind file cabinets, and this company is a reliable company. And again, I don't know the exact term, if it's insured or bonded or, you know, vetted.
No more than
And
cleaning
again,
the law office.
These type of companies wouldn't be in business if, you know, again, I'm not gonna provide an armed guard to follow on the vacuum cleaner.
Well, I'm convinced that it's an appropriate thing to do. I'm not convinced that we have the money to do it. As the treasurer said, if we could find it in the budget, but we have to give something up. We have to make a trade, and I really would like to know what that trade is before I approve it, so I would.
Has anybody spoken to Mr. Cardillo in regards to what, as in regards to what he would be giving up to provide this?
I have not, I'd like to do that.
Again, if I can remember I believe the buildings and grounds budget went up about $22,000 to maintain the buildings and the things.
I mean, I did
do
have,
not believe that all that money was earmarked, other than to maintain the buildings and grounds. And if you look around at the buildings and grounds, they're in deplorable shape. None of the buildings are maintained. None of the buildings are cleaned properly.
I did have a conversation with the chief in regards to this, and I have concerns about how public works people clean it, considering, you know, there's bloodborne pathogens. Are they using the proper equipment? I'm worried about them cleaning some of this material, let's say, their safety, and certainly the safety if some of the people in the police department are cleaning. I'm not sure how that, certainly, Gunther, you can talk of blood-borne pathogens that are there. I mean, that would be a concern. Yes, it is a lot of money, but where are we gonna spend more money after if it's a result of someone cleaning improperly?
Okay, so there's two ways we can go. We can make a motion to approve it from the building and grounds budget. We can make a motion to table it for 2 weeks until we can get a better handle on what's gonna be traded off in the building and grounds budget. I'm open to either motion. What's the will of the council?
I also look to see what we're trading off. Again, I mean, even the people that are gonna come and clean it are gonna be exposed to the same things. Just like the ambulance corps is exposed to it, the fire department's exposed to it when you want calls.
But you get trained, and I believe these
I
people have
believe the
trained.
police officers are pretty well trained, because they wear gloves many times on calls with us.
But are we hiring police officers to clean
We're
cells?
talking about the police officers in the building, you're worried about their safety.
At this point, you're paying the police chief to clean the building.
It's not the point that we don't need it, it's the point that, you know, we went through budget
So
talks.
are you making that motion?
I'll make a
second it.
motion table, because I'd like to know what we're giving up, because it may be important also.
Right, and I said I would second it, so you make the motion, I'll second it.
The motion is to table till we get further information on where this money, what are we gonna be giving up on moving this money to a different area?
And would it be possible to ask Mr. Cardillo to be present?
Absolutely.
That was
Is
the
that a
motion.
second?
That's a second, yes. I said if you made the motion, I would second.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay, we'll try to get this 2 weeks. Thank you. Get it back on the agenda. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We carry that item to our first October meeting. Emergency management request for office space at the Foster Center Fire Station. So we have a series of letters here from Gunther and Marsden, and I'll let Mr. Gray present this to us.
At the moment, the emergency management agency don't have any place to operate on Sunday. We don't have any office space, nowhere we can go. But it's a volunteer position, we are working full time. So we cannot go in a town and say, we have a small corner part, but please can I go in at 6 o'clock, please? But it's not working. I spoke with RMS and about this, the chief RMS about the situation. And he is willingly to cooperate with us, to build, it would benefits both sides. We would build together a new office space, what we one part would be for the EMA director or EMA department, and the other part would be for the fire station. So the cost was somewhat shared. Also, we would use as in the old fire station, the original Foster Center fire station, this part, we would use for the EMA department, the old side entrance. So we would not go in, actually to the building. On the other side, no person actually can go into the bay where the trucks are standing, the door is always locked. So we would have access to the bathroom, obviously, to the kitchen if we have to, but would not be possible. And at the moment, at my home at the moment, I try to do some work, stuff piling up. My wonderful woman is the treasurer for the fire department, so she has the paperwork, and yeah, and it gets more and more and more, and all the fires are accumulating and all this stuff.
Dining room tables work wonderfully.
Yeah, and
We don't have
we
that.
need somewhere, the EMA department should have somewhere space as operating base in general. Also, these people know actually where it is, and maybe if they want to contact the EMA department, they can contact a person, can make phone calls or whatever, and contact even the EMA department if they want any information. And most people are working, so they would like to have even a person, they can even speak afterward, maybe for emergency kits or any other sort of emergency questions. And secondly, we have no operation in the case of emergency too. There's no space in the police station. Yeah, I'm at home, you can come at home by home, it's nice and cozy at home.
So you requested from Aaron Marsland use of some space over there.
Yes, we
He
spoke.
has a letter saying that the station would be willing to do that. And they had a vote, I believe, there,
Yes, we had to, they had to run it,
of their board or.
yes.
So what is there a cost to the town?
This will be the next one, but at first I want to know if the council will approve it. Then we need to see how we would build this office space.
In the letter from Aaron, it says the town of Forest would like to, if the town of Forest would like to have an agreement drawn up, that would be agreeable to all parties, discuss the town of Forest would like to have an agreement. Is that something you're gonna do, something with?
I spoke with Mr. Luis before, and he says you should make an agreement between the town of Foster, but we are part of the town of Foster, where the Foster Center Volunteer Fire Station, it belongs to the Foster Center Volunteer Fire Station.
I know how it's set up.
Yeah, just, and so I guess the town would like us to spoke with Mr. Louis.
When he first raised the issue with me, I said I couldn't imagine the town investing money into a building for a desk, an office, or anything, without some sort of agreement that would retain some sort of ownership of that space. In cases when we put a new chief,
Right.
a new board, we would need that some
And
sort
we
of.
need to make a decision, with not even that in front of us,
Right, that would be my.
is what I was trying to get at.
My point is that at the moment, I would like to know from the council if we can go forward with this. So does he starting to draw up an agreement, starting making plans, how much it costs back, and does we discussing how we financing this one. But it makes no sense to do all this work and the council, no, we don't want it.
Right, and again, my concern is they're gonna cost money too, because there may be other places in town, ambulance corps, Moose Valley Fire Station, and South Forest.
And it will not come out of the town council.
If you may have available space that doesn't cost nothing.
Sorry.
So, I mean, maybe, we may be able to get another place in another fire department like Moose Valley that will provide you space at no cost. So,
So he's asking for the council's nod to go forward and put together a formal proposal, is that?
Yes, I would like to know the council. I would like to know from the council if you can go ahead with it, so that you can go in the planning phase, that we can make a drawing, cost analysis and things like this. It makes sense, I put it on and say, not really be done on this. And doing all the work, I have to do the work after hours.
Well, you'd have to know that when you bring it back, the council would review it and could say no.
Yes.
It is not, if the council decides this evening to endorse you going forward and putting together a proposal, when that comes back, the proposal might not be acceptable. So a yes, a nod to you this evening isn't a guarantee. It's just, it sounds like it's worth exploring.
Who would the agreement be between who's going to be representing? Because in the letter dated September 12th, it says, per our discussion, the town would like a lease agreement drawn up. That was from Mr. Bay to Chief Marsland. I don't recall saying that.
No, but I said to him
So
that we
was it
needed
the
some
rule
sort of
set?
agreement.
Okay. So there needs to be a lease agreement, in my opinion, and I certainly don't know legalese, but a lease means it's a two-way street. We're giving you something in your, or Mr. Chief Marsland is giving us something and we give Chief Marsland something.
And it's the Center Volunteer Fire Station, not Chief Marston, the Center Volunteer Fire Station.
Okay, well, the letter is addressed to Chief Marsland. So I have two concerns. Who's going to be representing the town? Because what I'm reading is the town is going to go into this lease agreement.
Okay. That's
Do you understand what
I
I'm
do.
saying?
Yes, who's going to
Who's
do the
going to
negotiation
represent the
on behalf of the town in the second?
And the second is, but I agree, if we say we'll go ahead to look at an agreement, doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to agree to the agreement.
I think any agreement needs needs to go through the solicitor. If it's a legal agreement, that's who needs to put it together, so it's.
Certainly it would, but I don't know that I'm clear on what we're leasing. I'm not sure where we belong in this. Did we just not say with the ambulance corps, you know, if the ambulance corps is in one stance where they're semi-private and they have money and we can't question, well then, so are the fire departments, to some extent in this town, not every town. But is he suggesting that we own the fire station and we can rent him a room or lease him a room, if that's what I'm getting?
No, I think they're saying they own the fire station.
So we gotta pay them for the space that he wants to use.
They'll let us use space for.
So I guess there's a policy decision there, which is not mine. But I certainly would be able to draw a lease with whatever the council wants, you know, as an objective.
I think I would, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I just think, just basic terms, before going through the process of getting the agreement in place, who the parties would be, how long it would be for, how much, I think is the biggest question, and the size of the space. And before we know those basic things, I think actually going forward with drafting an agreement would be premature.
John?
Actually, the lease was starting to say something, I recognize the council first.
I've lost it, forget it.
Okay, Mr. Sebastian.
Before you do this, shouldn't you look at some alternative spaces within the community that we own? And not only the fire station, you've got the Eddy building, you've got downstairs, you've got upstairs, I don't know if it's ever, any of it's ever been finished. So, I have no opinion about you should or shouldn't, but if you're gonna give money away and you have empty space, then I would use that first.
Why not the Woody Live?
There's plenty of possibilities.
Okay, well, we're listening to his proposal. That's, it came forward from EMA, not from the council.
He was the chief.
I'll recognize the chief.
Again, just not speaking against the fire department, but EMA does maintain storage in the basement. The area is probably 12 by 12 that is fenced in for their storage and supplies. And again, next to it, behind it, on all sides of it, is open space in the basement within town property. Just as a suggestion.
At the police station?
At the town hall.
At the town.
No, our basement's dirty. In the town hall basement.
This is so nice that the space is in the town hall, but can I do that 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening? After work, when I come from work, this is the problem what we have here. It's about, this position is a volunteer position, I'm doing it after work in my spare time.
I wasn't speaking against it.
Yeah, I'm doing it in my spare time. I'm doing it in the evening, I'm doing it on the weekends. This is when I do my work. So I need a space for this accessibility for the EMA department after hours. And the other thing why I was thinking that the Foster Center volunteer fire station would be a good place. It's Foster Center. It's in the center point. I'm thinking you're not alone. I'm thinking also as an operation where it's in case of emergencies.
And it is my understanding that the backup for the
It,
communication is at Foster Center.
Center too.
And I'm not,
And
so which would be a good place for it. But what is going to be the cost? It says here in your letter to us that the fire station is not against this, but would like to talk to the town regarding lease agreement and the cost of building the office space. So my concern is lease agreement. Again, that's a two-way street. You get something, you get something.
So I guess, from what I hear from the council, is that they don't feel there's enough information to say yes. And that an important piece of information is what's the cost of the lease? Is it $1 a year for 99 years, or is it $800 a month? And I'm sure that the fire station has an idea. So maybe they could settle on that, what their idea is, and that would guide us.
And also the cost of setup that was mentioned.
Yeah.
we got space in the townhouse. I don't think there should be money involved anyway. We're having it in Forster Center, let's make a deal with Forster Center. Forget money.
Well, I think that's what we need to see is what.
That's right.
So,
We shouldn't even forget.
has Chief Marcelin given you any idea as far as what he would be looking for?
No, if you want to looking at other really money, he tried to cooperate with the town with the EMA department. That's the together. Also, in the emergency operation plan is actually the Foster Center volunteer fire station is actually listed as a emergency operation center as a second choice after the police station. So it's already in the town procedures for emergency operation. There's a Foster Center volunteer fire station called Cabin. The emergency operation center is a police station.
Would it be feasible for us to look at this again and have Chief Marcelin and the other men who voted, and women who voted, determine what they would be looking for in exchange in this lease agreement? So at least we have some idea, and then we can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, the problem with Chief Marcelin is he's working with us is the
Well, he can certainly send a representative or something in writing what he's looking for.
You can send a letter, you can send the deputy chief. Yes.
We keep concentrating and mentioning if there's an emergency, we have a place where we can go and set up. When I was on council before, we had several emergencies. One was the Payne School collapse, Payne School, which was quite an emergency, and we had 2 hurricanes that rolled through. And those times, we just met with the police chief, the EMA directors, the fire chiefs at one place, and it really didn't matter where the communications was, because that takes care of itself. We met at South Forster Fire Station, we met several places, so to get bogged down and say we need Forster Center Fire Station if there's an emergency, that's really not true. It was then through 3 hurricanes, what were the 2?
We had Tropical Storm Irene, Hurricane Sandy,
And the collapse of
the roof collapse, and we met at
And they
South
had
Forster.
3 meetings, after meetings, and during meetings, and we had several places.
And my kitchen table.
Anyway, you
The
gotta
Benedict building, there's a room off the back, off the side of the house, was the old vault, why couldn't you put a desk in there? They have Wi-Fi from the library and they have a bathroom.
Northwest has some files, old files.
Yeah, but we could move them.
There is room in
We
there.
could move them and clear out that area. It's right across the street from the police station. You could have a key for it, it's right across, it has a bathroom, you could have Wi-Fi, and we put a desk in.
I don't care about it, so
And we own it.
So,
There is a desk there, there you go. Carol,
Okay, so let's think about
we would
it.
have to clean it up, which quite frankly, it should have been cleaned up right now.
Don't, so I guess the answer is don't invest a lot of time and energy drawing up plans. Let's look at the alternatives. Ask the fire station over there, are they talking a lease agreement that has a cost or no cost? And get a little more information and address it again. Any further?
Could go through, look at the Eddy building and see what that, if that space would be better than your dining room table.
we're going to have some of the space that can work after hours will be fine.
So, Vice President would like you to take a look at that space if you can do
Not a
that.
problem.
Okay. All right, anything else? All right, moving on. Prioritization of resolution supporting 2015 CDBG application. And Mr. Franco is recusing from this conversation, I think?
Yes, I do.
Yes, there is something on here from one of the organizations that she belongs to. So, okay, so the planner is going to just give us an overview of this and what we need to do this evening.
So, the planning board met on 16th, prioritized the subrecipient proposed activities and recommended that on to you. The prioritization was based on the direct benefit of each activity to the town of Gloucester itself. So, food pantry, 5,000, Camelot Village, 9,500, that's to install security cameras and an ADA automatic door. to the state. So there's now this sort of set aside pot of money that we are able to apply to on a case-by-case basis. And each time we do that, our contract gets bumped up by that amount of money. So that way we're never wasting any funds.
So that set aside fund in housing rehab is money in excess of the 150,000 allowed to the town. It's additional money.
It will be, right, on a case-by-case basis, but it's at zero, so it's not affecting the 150,000 that Foster is eligible for. But it still needs to be prioritized because it does become a line item in the contract.
So we wouldn't run into the problem that we're asking for 150,000 and then we ask for some housing rehab money and they say, no, you already have.
No, that's what they expect. They in fact tell you, as you send in the request, they amend the contract above the 150, it sends that confirmation back so that all of our reporting is accurate with theirs. And then 1,700 to wrap it up to the 150,000, that's townwide administration, but it's not to be prioritized. So it's just the 4 activities in that order of priority sent from the planning board to you. So it's really just a vote to either accept that prioritization or amend it. Also, if you want to amend any of the amounts, and then an additional vote to authorizing resolution to file the application with the state. And wording of the authorizing resolution comes directly from the state application itself.
Okay, so there's 2 separate votes to be taken. The first vote would be to prioritize and simultaneously change the values if the council desires. Does anyone have any questions on any of these particular categories? Is there a motion to prioritize them? Accept the planning board's order of prioritization or alter it?
Make a motion to accept the planning board's sort of prioritization.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I don't know if I can discuss or not.
I don't know.
No.
Did she discuss?
Thank you,
No.
Mr. Styler.
I don't.
If you've recused yourself, you mean as a citizen? or-
Yes.
That's,
You really,
this sort of.
I think it's dangerous.
Okay.
and the amount was high enough for you to recuse as far as the whole
I
amount.
won't tell you no, but I think it's dangerous.
That's fine.
Eating in a bed. Could I ask if that ranch is in Boston? This ranch that's getting her.
The programs are in Foster.
Actually, Mrs. Dalton is
Yes.
she discussed.
I'm Karen Dalton. The programs are in Foster. We're utilizing the Hilltop Equestrian on Cucumber Hill right now for the equine therapy. Working with some yoga instructors right now. We're referring them to Pawtucket, but we're in the process of trying to purchase the 125-acre Black Forest Farm to bring everything together and make it one military retreat.
I see. So with this program, I'm a horse person, I'm just curious. With this program, they would all come there
Yes.
for pretty much everything?
Every single thing. So it's a multifaceted equine therapy program utilizing natural horsemanship, equine therapy, hypnotherapy, reflexology, yoga,
I get all that.
horticulture, all of it. Nutrition education.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Okay. Further discussion?
So, yeah, I have,
Yes?
Um,
Mrs. Muncy?
in that discussion, applying Black Forest Farm, are you a non-taxing entity?
I am a 501c3 tax exempt, yes.
Okay.
That doesn't prevent,
I am, I'm a state tax exempt too, nonprofit.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the prioritization as put forth by the planning board, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I'll be abstaining and clarifying on the second vote as to why it will all follow through.
Okay, this motion carries 3-0, one abstention, one recusal. Is there a motion to amend any of these values? Let me just ask that. We prioritize the order. Is there a motion to amend any of the values as put forth by the planning board?
I know the planning department, the planning board, when we go through this, give detailed presentations as to why these values are what they are. And, so I would support such a motion.
Okay, then the next motion that we need, there is a resolution in the packet. Resolution of the Foster Town Council 2015-11. This wording is directly from the state document, which you can see staples to it. They require this wording of a resolution in order to allow the town to go forward with making the grant application. So I will read this resolution and then ask for a motion. Resolution 2015-11 of the Foster Town Council, subject authorization regarding the 2015 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant application. Whereas funds are available under the Rhode Island Community Development Block Grant Program administered by the Department of Administration, Division of Planning, Office of Housing and Community Development. And whereas the Governor of the State of Rhode Island has authorized the Director of said Department/Office to disperse such funds. And whereas it is in the interest of the citizens of the town of Foster that application be made to undertake a local community development block grant program. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council of the town of Foster that the filing of this application for the amount of $150,000 to implement the activities proposed herein is hereby authorized, and that John L. Lewis Jr., Town Council President, is hereby authorized and directed to file this application with the Office of Housing and Community Development to provide any additional information or documents required by said office, to make any assurances required in connection with this program, to execute an agreement with the State of Rhode Island, and to otherwise act as the representative of the town of Foster in all matters relating to this application and any award which may be based upon this application. Adopted this 24th day of September 2015. Boy, it's given me an awful lot of responsibility. This state. Yeah, that's how you get the big ones, yes. Okay, that's the resolution that the state requires in order to allow this grant to go forward. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
So,
Is there a second? Or any discussion?
Due to conversations that, I'm not saying they're all aware of the causes, it's not the causes, but this has been going on for a year and a half, 2 years with Road Map Rhode Island. We had our state representative come here and advise us the dangers of the strings tied to the CDBG grant with the HUD funding related back to the Rhode Island Fair Housing Act, the Federal Housing Act tied to that, where they could open ourselves up to a lawsuit and force unreasonable zoning into our community that we're not accustomed to. I will be voting no, as I've been voting no on everything until further information comes from the state representative that addressed us. That I know of, nothing's changed, so my vote will continue to be no.
Further discussion?
I can tell you that the federal government has put out bulletins from HUD saying that they in no way intend to do that, that's not what it was what it was for, and that they will not do it. That they will not do it.
We did get that from the planner, and I've spoken with Chippendale, and
No?
still,
Well, I don't know what he knows, but I know what I saw in Federal Information Services.
I've been consistently voting no on federal funded money.
I think like you said, we've discussed this very good in the past.
Further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of supporting this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 3, 1 no, 1 recusal. Okay, that concludes that. I think we may be joined. We're going to move on to our public hearing this evening. The public hearing, application for a one-day outdoor open recreational event and amusement license for a closed course enduro bike race. to take place on the single day of October 31st, 2015, at 33 and 36 Howard Hill Road. The notice of public hearing was published in the September 27th and 23rd Observer. It was been appropriately advertised. We have a packet of information here for the council. Mr. Day, the applicant, is here in the audience. I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to let Mr. Day just give us a brief overview of his intention and desires, and then I'm going to hear from members of the public for and against this application. So I will open the public hearing, and I will recognize Mr. Day first to sort of lay the ground.
Hi, I'm Monday. I'm here to try to get the recreational permit to do a JDF foot event here in Foster. I did a JDF foot event roughly 5 years ago here in Foster. It was actually my first ever event. Went over very smoothly. Since then, I've done roughly about 100 events or so here in the Northeast. Family oriented. And if you guys have any questions, I'm just here to answer.
Okay, so is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this application?
I live right across.
Could you let us know your name, please, and
Oh, I'm sorry, Pat Shaw,
your address?
35 Howard Hill Road.
Thank you.
I have no problem with it whatsoever. It's not going to be a consistent thing, it's once in a blue moon. Yeah, and I have no problem with it.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Mr. Bay?
I have only a question.
You can ask, well, go ahead, you can ask the question.
How many people roughly will be at 10 Howard Railroad? It's a very small road. I'm thinking about the vehicles, access get blocked.
I'll allow him to answer. How many people will be in attendance, do you expect?
Our average this year is 1,300 people.
1,300.
1,500?
1,300, yes, sir. That's what it is. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
John, I have a question. Did you do the event on Jenks Road?
Yes, I
It
did.
was that event.
Yep, that was.
I went, I actually volunteered as an EMT for that event, and there were no problems. It didn't seem to bother anybody. Traffic wasn't a problem.
That
So I would speak in favor of it.
That event in comparison was roughly like 500 people or so. If you like to get that down.
Would you want to share that there are some stipulations that need to be followed?
We can do that now, sure. These are recommendations.
1,300 people, if they, I was living across the street, I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That was my next question. Where are they all going to park? I'm sorry?
There's, on the thing he was, he's gonna be parking, you remember where Jimmy used to live up in the house?
Yes.
In that field, and then where little Dennis used to ride his bike around the track across from your house,
Right.
there's the overflow parking there.
Oh, okay.
But it's all off-road, right? That's what you're, yes.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Galloway. I live directly across the street, 38 Howard Hill Road. I just have a question, too, if you don't mind.
Sure.
In regards, like, my biggest, like, I don't mind the noise, I can close my windows. The traffic, I can stay in or I can leave for the day.
Yep.
My biggest concern is going to be the dirt.
Yep.
That kicks up, just because, I know, like, weekly, people are dirt biking, it really doesn't bother me. It's your land, you wanna have a good time, that's fine. Is there any chance that you would have, say, like a water truck where, not where you make mud for the riders, but where it wets the dirt so it's not kicking up as much as if there was nothing applied?
Sure thing. Yeah, we, at all the events, usually the fall events, just because of the moisture and the sun kind of is, well, it's still strong, but usually the ground stays fairly moist. We don't need it, but we do have a watering trailer that we bring to all of our events if it's dry and dusty, because it's not good for the riders either, because they're breathing dust. And so yes, that's definitely something we do regardless.
John, I think maybe perhaps for the record and for the audience, the thing to do would be to let them know that the planning department has had this for some time. It has gone before the planning board and been vetted, it's gone before the zoning board and had an opinion because a special use permit was required. And conditions came up.
I can actually,
Yeah,
read that.
I think we should
Read that
let
back.
them know.
Okay.
All publicly advertised, and anyone that's in a butter should have gotten notice that way also.
Yes, the butter list is here, the butter should receive notice. Okay, I have the letter from the zoning board. Honorable Town Council members, the zoning board of review of the town of Foster reviewed the following submission along with related testimony for a special use permit on Wednesday, September 9, 2015. The owner, Linda Fairbanks, and applicant John Day seek a special use permit from the town of Foster zoning ordinances, Article 4, zoning regulations. Description of uses, Section 3, open recreation uses, subsection 6, open recreation events and amusements for a property located at 33 and 36 Howard Hill Road, being Plat 2, lots 57 and 57A, in an AR district on 47.59 acres. The permit is needed to hold a one-day recreational closed course dirt bike enduro event on Saturday, October 31st, 2015, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and will additionally require a license from the town council per ordinance 95-12-366, which we are entertaining this evening. The board, meaning the zoning board, voted unanimously 5-0 to approve the application under the authority granted to the zoning board of review by Rhode Island General Law 45-24-57 and by the town of Foster's zoning ordinance, Article 11, Section 3C. Evidence of the following standards pursuant to the Rhode Island General Law 45-24-42 and the town of Foster's zoning ordinance, Article 7, Section 2B, was entered into the record of proceedings. 1, the special use is specifically authorized by this ordinance. 2, that the special use meets all of the criteria set forth in the sections of this ordinance authorizing such special use. And 3, that the granting of the special use permit will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of this ordinance or the comprehensive plan of the town. The zoning board further proposed that the following special conditions based on competent, credible evidence on the record and allowed under Rhode Island General Law 45-24-43 and the Foster zoning ordinance, Article 7, Section 3, be applied to the decision in order to promote the intent and purposes of the comprehensive community plan in the town and the zoning ordinance. So these are the following special conditions proposed by the zoning board. Number 1, coordinate with the chief of police and comply with his police detail recommendations for child safety in Howard Hill Road. 2, firm start time of 6 a.m. for setup of a limited crew and registration to start at 7 a.m. and an absolute quit time of 5 p.m. Condition 3, provide proof of insurance. Condition 4, no on-street parking. Condition 5, adequate on-site safety and security personnel. Condition 6, contingent upon town council license. Condition 7, 2 private ambulances on site. Condition 8, no alcohol permitted. Condition 9, effort made to be considerate and respectful of surrounding neighbors. Submitted to the town planner and it is signed by the planner, the assistant solicitor, and the chair of the zoning board. So they had that public hearing on September 9th, and ours is subsequent. Those are the conditions you
Yes,
indicating?
I thought that might at least
Okay,
answer some
that
questions.
makes sense. All right, so you've heard that. Still going to entertain comments in favor. Please, Chief.
Again, I'm not speaking in favor or against, but just, what we've set up already, again, just background, I was a supervisor and coordinated a lot of the first event that he held, being in a professional organization then, and the research that I've done since then is still a continued professional organization. He requested, or I requested 2 detail officers because of the running amount of people. Again, J.J. Racing has no problem with that. The rescue, the fire department has been notified, Moosa Valley traffic, as far as town residents, we're gonna direct all traffic out towards the state highways, Route 14, and again, away from the local residents. We'll have 2 patrols on that day, and again, there to assist in traffic. Mr. Day, I talked to Mr. Day the other day, and it's not gonna be like a football game where everybody gets out at the same time. A lot of people start leaving, I believe it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's gonna be a gradual release of traffic.
Additional comments in favor? Are there any questions? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Okay, sir, I'm going to recognize you. I just want to read this letter. I received a letter in opposition as well. I want to read it so I don't forget. Dear
There's
Mr.
another part to that letter.
Do you have a copy?
There's 2.
There was an additional one.
There was one in our packet and then an additional one tonight.
I have the one, it's from the same.
Same.
Okay. All right, so I'll read them both. Dear Mr. Lewis, my husband and I own 24 Howard Hill Road, Foster, Rhode Island. At the present time, we reside at 1459 Harkin Rider Road, Rexville, New York, 14877. We received notice of the application made by Linda Fairbanks and John Day for a special use permit to hold a one-day recreational closed course dirt bike enduro event on Saturday, October 31st, 2015, from the Foster Town Zoning Board, as well as a license from the Foster Town Council, over which you preside. It has not been possible for us to attend either public meeting, nor to access a copy of the application. However, as adjoining property owners to the 33 and 36 Howard Hill Road location of this event, we oppose it on several grounds. 1, the most obvious one is environmental degradation to an area with water courses and wetlands. Damage to the surface and or subsurface water can be quickly inflicted but takes 2 years to repair. One person's property is not an island. Our 60-plus acre property borders it on 2 sides, and much of ours is downhill from it. 2, we have a forest conservation plan which calls for responsible management of flora, fauna, and wetlands. We are also in the middle of DEC site planning to build a new home. The second objection is to what is called a mass gathering in New York State. Perhaps the application addresses the public health and safety implications of an event held on a narrow country road with no fire hydrants or dry wells nearby, but we find it hard to believe noise abatement will be possible. We find it hard to believe noise abatement will be possible. Finally, such an investment to create a closed course dirt bike track is hardly going to be feasible for one day once a year. Riders will want to use it for practice as well as actual competitive events. Unless I'm mistaken, the owners or operators of this event will be expecting a return on their investment. It is our sincere wish to have this letter presented to the town council and included in any public record of this proceeding. Respectfully, Jeannie and Bruce Thompson. Here's their email address. And their follow-up letter. Dear Mr. Lewis, because we live out of state, I was not familiar with Mr. Day or his commercial pursuits. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, Mr. Day's website at jdayoffroad.com illustrates clearly why we vehemently oppose his application for such an event at 3336 Howard Hill Road, Foster, New York. That's what it says. This land, as well as our adjacent property at 24 Howard Hill Road, Foster, Rhode Island, is the type of agricultural, woodland, and wetland that the town of Foster and state of Rhode Island is striving to preserve. Again, I request you present this addendum to our email dated 9/22 and add it to the public record of these proceedings. Respectfully, Jeannie and Bruce Thompson. Okay, so specifically asked it, they stand in opposition. So when you forget it, I wanted to read you first, but now I'll recognize whoever wishes to speak in opposition. Sir?
Homer Livingston. I moved here 56 years ago for peace and quiet, clean air and clean ground. Our ground is very fragile here. I'm on a forest program also, and the ground is very fragile. I got some stuff over there. The Pope and the President want the United States and the world to clean up the ground, clean up the air, and clean up the environment. That's not cleaning up the air or the environment. And can I bring these boards down? Can I put them somewhere so I show you what I got?
Can you leave them on that chair?
No, I need
Can you leave them on that bench?
which bench?
This bench? No one's sitting on
Stand.
that bench.
Yes, this gentleman would,
What do you want?
yeah, put them there.
I'm with him, I'll do whatever you want.
I mean, not physically with him, but his train of thought.
You sat up.
Yeah.
Not gonna look well.
You want one of these over there? You want one of these over there? Sure. All right, I'll bring them. Excuse me?
It's the same shot.
This?
You want these facing the council? You want these facing the council? Okay.
What are you bringing here that you need a respirator? You're not gonna put anything in the air tonight?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's dust. Up on the top is down Rich Farm, probably a mile downhill to the culvert, inside of Poland Street, 33, Dennis house here, and the other guy's house here. The brook runs right down through here, down into Mr. Johnson's pond. I sent him a letter, he didn't come. Every bit of dust in here runs down into that man's pond. From my house, runs down that way, and then down this way, comes down there. The first lane from Route 14 is right here. Bill and Jim live there. The water runs down there. It keeps coming down. We're all on forest program. Now, the dust is going to cover your house, and it's going to cover a big long one there. That's your house? Okay, nice to meet you. The dust, 1,300 machines churning up the ground. It's fragile. The dust is going to cover that place with dirt. Now, the boundary, it actually goes right over to the first lane on Howard Hill Road on Old 43. They're going to be going down there, coming around, it's cornfield now. And this here field here is 20 acres, I'm only guessing, corn, hay at the bottom, corn at the top. And there's a house up here. All the water comes down, comes down this way, down across the driveway into that brook, comes down towards the road, right down here, and zing, down there into that culvert under the road, and it goes right down into Mr. Johnson's pond, which has been getting filled up for 100 years from that farm. They take a little better care now, but when they run what they're doing, that's not doing it too good. Mount Baptist Church down the end. His boundary goes from pole 43, basically to pole 29 and 31. Not them two, 33 and 38. His boundary is much bigger. All dust goes into the brook and drains on the side of Howard Hill Road, and it all runs down here. This ground is going this way, and from my place and down Rich is going down that way. That's the bottom. Everything runs in there. Everything runs in there.
That's not gonna hold good.
Huh?
Be careful.
Be careful. Be careful. All right.
ever watch Don Herbert? Mr. Wizard?
This is the fragile ground.
Can I ask what you're, I really don't want you making a dusty mess in here.
Okay.
You can explain it, but please don't.
And this is gonna finish it off. What is the water? Oh gosh, that's right. Water. You get the water here, and then it gets wet. You pour a little more water on it. And it all runs down to the bottom, the mud, the silt. We had a rainstorm a few years back. From my neighbor's field, I grabbed a quart of water, and it had my silt in it. Each acre of land, and I forgot the amount of silt, sand, loam, fines, each acre loses so many tons of the loam, the topsoil, when it has erosion. I do not want to see that thing going on in my place, near my place. From the first rain last year, somebody was running them dirt bikes, they're coming down. I come out of my driveway and it's about 1,200-1,300 feet to the next lane. I could just about see it one day because of the dust. It was very dusty. Thank you.
Do you want to
You want to?
collect your papers? Yeah, I appreciate that, if you could do that. Mr. Barry?
I assume it's a 7-hand size. How many bikes will you run roughly?
Our average is around 500 or so.
My concern is the bikes need to be filling up the fuel or gas cans. I'm thinking about the spillage of fuel and oil. Would be run off at the rain and would be run off in the environment. Really, I see a problem.
I think that came up at the zoning or planning board. Would you address that? What corrections you made?
Yeah, for the most part, a lot of guys, this isn't like an endurance race, like some people might think like a hair scramble or so. For the most part, a lot of guys fuel up before they go. They don't have to pit like a lot of other off-road races. If the pit during the middle of the race, it can get messy sometimes. These are only 30-minute races, so usually, you know, if you're filling up, it's controlled. You do it in your pit area. Something like if you filled your lawn over in your garden, you know.
I'm thinking we'll go, let's say 500 bikes.
Roughly, yeah, give or take, depending on weather.
Yeah.
I know the zoning board did put a condition on that they address any spillage, if there were any accidental spills that they need to take care of that. Mrs. Ryder?
No, I'm just, quite frankly, when you were reading all the conditions, I kind of zoned out, but, no offense. Is there one where there will be a fire truck on the premises? We have had an unprecedented drought these past few weeks, and I don't know if it's gonna rain between now and then. But, you know, just in case there's some kind of grass fire or something like that.
There's not a recommendation, there's a recommendation for police, there's a recommendation for ambulance, there's nothing here about fire. Have you taken any precautions, or will you take any precautions for fire?
I've never had a fire truck on site before.
The chief already touched on that.
I've already spoken with Paul Kenneth, the fire chief in Moose Valley, he's gonna have extra people on standby.
They'll have people on standby?
Or he's gonna make sure they're around.
So they won't be on site, but they'll be on call.
Right, and again, maybe they might even be competing, so we might have fire people.
Yeah.
Additional comments? Sir, yes.
Yeah, I live at 23 Howard Hill Road.
Could I have your name, please?
It's a very narrow road to start with. I mean, people have to slow down to pass. So basically, for a day, we won't be able to leave. Well, we can go the other way, but. And the other thing is this a one-time deal, or is this gonna be, you know, every month, or every twice a year, or an annual event?
One-time deal.
Is that in writing?
Yeah.
It is has to grant a license for any of these events. So the license that's in front of us for application is for 1 day from those times that I indicated when I read the letter.
But that does not prevent
And from
a
coming,
request for a second event.
they could come forward and ask for a subsequent event, but they'd have to go through the same process.
Right.
They have to go to the zoning board, they have to come here for another public hearing, everybody would be notified again. But this is not an open-ended thing. What's in front of us this evening is a 1-day event and nothing more.
So maybe that is a question Mr. Day could answer.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I would only do it once a year. It's a circuit, so the riders, they follow the circuit. There's a different stop along the way, and this happens to be the last round of the circuit. So in theory, we wouldn't, if we ever did come back, it would be.
It will be the annual event then?
Not necessarily. We've had the circuit going for the last 5 years, and even though we did one in 2011, I think it was, we haven't come back since to foster. So, it could be something we'd want to do every year, but not necessarily.
It's really not the place for it. It's a small street. It's residential. I mean, have it here, You better be back out here.
Mr. Fournier?
Yes. My name is Phil Forty, I'm on East Killing Road. I am not in the butter, I have no standing either way. I'm just here to support the objectors. Just to fall back a little bit, there was a rumor at one time that this type of entity, and I don't disparage a small businessman, he's out to make a living or make his hobby his living, whatever. But there was a rumor at one time that there was going to be that type of entity permanently on East Killing Road. I'm a couple of houses from the north coast of Baptist Church, so I'm at the beginning. The other entity is, I won't mention the place, but it was a wooden meeting house. And that died, that rumor or whatever died on the vine before anything happened. I attended those meetings. And as I said, I'm just here to support the objectives so that if one successful event becomes 2, becomes 4, and then this entity becomes a possibility on East County Road, those people become the support me. I'm here. I moved to Forster. I think it was mentioned over here. The peace and quiet. I see a few of the bikers outside. I really have I'm not like the same, but I have no control over the motorcycle. I know where they're coming because every dog on the street starts barking. I'm not going to get up on my soapbox, but I already have the 2-wheelers and the 4-wheelers coming down from wherever they come, Willoughby Pond, on that section of 94, all the way to God knows where they go. I know I made a few calls to the police. By the time the police get there, God bless them, I've never seen a piece of machinery with a single rider travel that fast, other than a space shuttle. God knows where they go. And they go up in blacked out, and they come back in blacked out, because they know I'm not anymore, because I'm not going to bother the police. I know they do a good job, but they're not going to make it from the police station down. They're going. There were 2 times that I did call the police. They're gone. And now what they do, they stop in front of the house, they idle, and they rev their engines, they do their wheelies, when I'm out in the yard, it's worse. But anyway, to get back off my soapbox. I just said I'm here to support the objectives so that if this entity on East Killing Road ever resurfaces again, they'll kind of stand with me, maybe we're only a small portion. As I said, I don't disparage business people that, they're here to make a living, they're here to life, but the people that are here for the peace and quiet. It's East Killing Road from 94 to the Connecticut line is slowly becoming Middle Spring Avenue. My wife takes a chance when she goes out with the dog, and it's just, I don't even slow down, so, and I'm going to walk my soapbox. But anyway, as I said, I'm just here to support the
Mr. Lewis?
I have no standing.
Yes, Mr. Thompson. He's mistaken the rumor about permanent motorcycle or dirt bike on East Kelly Road at Woodland Meeting House was a BMX bicycle track that after we turned it down, not knowing anybody in particular who was against it, family event in Foster that we turned down because of council. So you're mistaken about a motorcycle track at Woodland Meeting House. It was never the event, it was a bicycle track.
So, you do have something to say about
Yes,
this application?
Yeah, standing up in front of the council and tying all things together, this is an application about one event in one place.
Are you going on record as in support or an opposition?
I'm in support,
Okay.
thank you.
I sit, there he goes. I sit corrected, but by the time I heard the story, it was a motocross, so.
Okay,
you know,
so
obviously-
that's what you heard. You're telling us what you heard. Mr. Durango?
I don't know if I'm allowed to speak.
Why would you
I'm on
not?
the zoning board.
Oh, let me ask the solicitor.
This is a public hearing. Are you speaking as a member of the zoning board or as a
No.
resident?
No,
No what?
no, I'm speaking as a citizen.
Then you can certainly speak. You don't lose your right to speak because you're volunteering.
Tom Durango, South Bloomington Road. The gentleman that gave us a demonstration in reference to water and dust, I believe, Mr. Day, is it? Mr. Day explained that if there was a dry condition, he has a water tank, water truck, something of this nature, to dampen the soil. And they don't need mud because mud would hinder what they're trying to do. Also, and I understand probably a lot of flack on this one, but the people that own this property, in a way, have a right to use their property. Granted, if it's infringing on the lifestyle of their neighbors, that has to be taken into consideration, but also taken into consideration, this is a one-day event. And from what I understand, things have been put in place, so when these people enter and exit, it will be from Route 14, so they won't be coming through Foster. They'll be leaving that location and going right out to Route 14. So the traffic and so forth will not be coming through town. I think the gentleman answered most of the questions that have been brought up.
John, I may need to correct one thing. A
Yes?
special use permit given by the zoning board, which requires the opinion of the planning board, which we had here, runs with the land. So if a special use permit to hold this type of event, having that type of event on the land is granted, which it was, with conditions. If those conditions are observed, they can have that kind of thing on the land, with the caveat that they come before the town council, which can set its own conditions, additional conditions. But the special use permit runs with the land. They would not have to go through the entire process again,
Then you have to just go through this
just
process.
the
How
council.
long is a special use permit good for? Is it eternal?
Runs with the land and the owner, the ownership of the land.
Okay.
If a new owner, they would have to reapply.
It's in the, thank you.
But they would have to come before the council.
They would have to start completely over, but they would, they would have to come before the council if they wanted to do it, other than the date they are specifically granted a license to do
Would
it.
they have to go before the zoning board?
No.
Planning board again, so they would just have to come before the council. Thank you.
Would that use be considered abandoned if they didn't have a fence there once a year? I don't know if that's the thing.
Mhm.
If 5 years go by and they don't have another event, like any sort of use, could that use be considered abandoned? No?
I mean, you could have an argument, but no, I think once you, if you have a special use permit granted on that land, as long as that ownership of the land remains,
And that's already previously been granted by the zoning.
it has, through the planning board, through the zoning board. So, but the council has to do each and every time, and we've run into this with other things, each and every time they want to hold something, they have to come before the council, which can make their own conditions.
And we'll weigh in past events that they've had on past roads and how it's going, will weigh heavily on any future events.
Absolutely.
This is right.
I would just say, so that if they change organizations who are actually doing the event, that they still don't have to go through the planning or zoning. I mean, Mr. Day is the one who's putting this on, his organization. If this
Especially-
landowner goes to a different organization, It still doesn't make any difference.
The special use permit is part of zoning, the zoning is the landowner.
Okay.
He's applying for a license to do something, he has no ownership in the land. But the special use permit, the zoning exception was given to the landowner. So the landowner could go out and court another company.
Actually, I saw Mr. Livingstone.
How do you know as a councilman decide where you can, where you can't?
How do we decide?
How do you people now gonna decide whether he can do it or he can't do it?
After the public hearing is concluded, after everyone has had the opportunity to speak who wishes to speak, I will close the public hearing. The council heard everyone's testimony. We have the letter from the planning board, we have the letter from the zoning board, we have the maps, and we will consider all of that evidence. And someone will make a motion to either grant or deny, and then there will be a vote, and the majority of the council carries the vote.
Well, the motion would be even further, right?
One more thing.
One more thing, go ahead.
I
Then I'm gonna come back here.
I'm somehow gonna get a letter from Department of DEM on the ground. The fragile ground we live in here, and we get a letter from them. The fragile ground, the sand that we got, the loam that we got, it's fragile. You can't repair what they're gonna do.
Obviously, if you have a DEM letter, they trump what the town does. So if DEM weighs in, DEM weighs in. You have no control over what they do, or
They're just gonna tell you the fragileness of this ground here. It's wet, and it's fragile.
Mrs. Dalton?
I was just gonna say in favor of bringing people to Foster and possibly going to local businesses and bringing revenue to a town that is desperately in need of revenue. We don't have any businesses, a lot of businesses here. This is bringing people in. Maybe they're gonna go to dinner at the Foster Country Club, or they'll go over to Nickel Creek, or they'll use the gas stations, or whatever. It's just bringing people to the town that aren't normally coming up to Foster for any other reason. And it's nice to have something in town that we can say is in Foster, in a part of Foster, and instead of at Nan's place or another location, getting the credit for it. But this is their property, it's a very large piece of property, it belongs to them. I think they have a right to use it how they want to. He has already said that they're gonna water down the dirt and, gone through the whole process of zoning and planning. I say I'm for it, and I think we should support it.
Thank you. Mr. Day?
So as I understand it right, the special permit is for the landowners, it has nothing to do with Mr. Day, this is just for the landowners. So this means they can hold anytime an event, go to the council and would like to want a crossway. Not with Mr. Day, with any other organization, and with this stipulation what on this license, special use permit is.
They
But all
have
the-
to come to the council for a license for the event.
for the event, but what I say is already, the permit to use this land for cross racing is already granted. What needs only to be done for the landowner is to come to the council and say, on the 25th of November, we want to have another motocross race.
Because as it went through the process in the zoning board, when you look at the zoning table, that type of event is not prohibited.
Yeah, no,
Therefore, they were able to get a special use permit to hold
Right.
that.
One point being clear, as I understood this, right? The other question is what is in for the town, which said that maybe some people eating at the Foster Country Club and spending some money and on a few stations or so.
They would have to do an advertisement in the paper, pay the fees, have a public hearing like they're having tonight,
Yeah.
going in front of the council. This is just coming from the council and do it. They're
Yeah,
still.
no, it's the same thing. But the permit is already granted.
Right.
The permit is granted. So they can do it every time with a hearing on the council, but on this and this day, and it goes to
It's
the
a public
hearing.
hearing, it's more than just a hearing from the council. Again, they have to advertise in the paper, let everybody know.
Yeah.
Then they have to have a public hearing where people speak for and against it. This isn't just coming from the council.
Not I understand.
It's pretty involved. They would have to, again, send registered letters to all the abutting landowners to notify them also, so, of the public meeting.
I think planner may have some information.
No, you just can't see this.
Okay, I'll recognize the gentleman in the back.
My name is Scott from Gold Mine Road. I just have a couple questions for Mr. Day and maybe a follow-up comment. The first question is roughly how long is one lap?
Roughly a mile and a half or so.
Mile and a half?
Yeah, roughly.
And then how many laps is each rider doing?
They'll ride as many laps as they can in 30 minutes.
Okay, which should be approximately
It's like 5 laps or so.
5 laps.
Yep.
So maybe 7.5 miles per rider. And then we multiply that by 500 riders. I'm trying to imagine how much water you would need. I know you said you have a water trailer there, which is helpful. But when I think of any real effect that might have, it's hard for me to imagine that being adequate. I do have maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, sure thing. So for the most part, you know, an inch or so below, I mean, unless you have like a major drought, for the most part, inch below is moist soil. So once you get down to that, you're not kicking up dust anymore. The dirt might rise maybe 3 feet from the back tire, but then it'll just simply drop. It's not going to float in the air. So for the most part, you water before after the sun goes down the night before. Again, unless it's like some case where you haven't gotten rain for 2 months or a month or so. If you water the night before, maybe a couple berms or turns here and there throughout the day. We keep up with it all the time just because for the most part the moisture is down there, and it's true, the bikes do rip up the dirt, and once you get down below, it's good to go outside and keep your foot in the dirt, but an inch down, you're going to get down to moist dirt that's not going to float anymore.
So
So
basically,
my follow-up comment, my wife is a soil scientist, and an inch is a century's worth of topsoil. So although it might seem like an inch down to moist soil is not a big deal, from a historical perspective, especially with how hard it is to pull on the topsoil and phosphate, that seems very significant to me.
Okay, Zach, that's your last comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm not cutting you off, I just, move on if you want to. Yeah,
Sorry. So basically, you are planning to water down the night before and throughout the whole race? Like, or as
If
needed?
it's dusty, for sure. Yeah, if it's dusty. I mean, if you had rain, you know, say within a week before the event, oftentimes it's already slippery. You don't want to put water down anymore. So yeah, if it's dusty, for sure, for vision, for the rider, for safety, we always water. Yeah, I mean that too. I think the thing is too is we're using, the majority of what we're using are trails that are, you know, already existing, already there. The likelihood of the dust, if there was dust coming out, unless we had it, say, like across the street, in that field, and the field was very dusty, for the most part, it's there in the trails. So it's not like, the other thing too I want to bring to everyone's attention is, I know like in that letter, for example, they were talking about the track that we want to build there. We're not building a track, but we have 2 types of events. Some events will go to an actual motocross facility. They'll have 60-foot tall dirt jumps and an actual facility that has all kinds of crazy looking features, which if you went on the website, you think, okay, no way are they going to build this and not want to do it again. The other type of events, half our events are just at farms, utilizing cornfields that get tilled up 6 inches deep every year, or trails that are already there, and it's a much different thing than say if you went on the website and saw the other half of our events that are at these motocross facilities that have tracks beating in the sun all day, and you really have to keep water down. So I think the idea of the dust got kind of blown out of proportion. Dust is the last thing I've ever gotten opinion about.
No. Just like, I live like right across, and I'm glad to see them enjoy their land, and I have a 13-year-old who's like, can I go over? So, not against, like, I'm not, but I know from like where I watch, like, and I'm sure you're familiar with their land, they have that one field, which is like directly across, and they have the track track where they have their hill and they do their jumps.
Yep.
In my mind, you guys are like just going around and around and around that track. That's what's in my head. So I'm like,
That's actually the field across from you is actually
Overflow. They're not even gonna be using that.
oh, that's not where the thing is.
It's actually the field behind that.
Yeah, exactly. The middle field is.
That's gonna be, that's what I was mentioning, you live very close to dense spots all the time. And
Yeah, and like I know like the dust and stuff, like, and I'm like, I close my windows if I have to. I'm not like against them having their fun.
That's only gonna be used for overflow parking when the big field fills up too much, which is probably never gonna happen because the field that Ginny lived in the back is huge. So I don't even think they're gonna get to the point where they're gonna be that just for parking. That's an overflow parking lot. They ride in that field a lot. That's where it plays.
Okay, so that's where, like in my mind, that's where the whole race was taking place.
It's in the
So,
back, up on the hill.
You're entitled to see this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got mine.
Have mine. Does anybody else want?
this is, yeah, and then that big, I know that big one.
Excuse me, this is yours, right here.
Yeah, and so I was thinking, like, there's the house, there's the field, and there's the field.
I got my phone in the ashes. Yeah, I come back to the phone.
Oh, yeah, please.
But this is where they're talking, the main parking center, they see that track comes from here and goes up to the field and go back. This is only going to use overflow.
Okay, do we have any more comments?
Yes, sir. When these guys gonna run once around this loop they make, or twice or 3 or 4 times?
I think he answered that. As many times as they can within 30 minutes.
Twice around that mile.
More than twice. I think he said maybe 5 times. You want it
Times in 30 minutes.
How many times they can go around that loop in 30 minutes? That's what he said.
From 8 to 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Classes, you have age classes or what are the classes?
Everything from 4 years and up.
4 years and up. 4-year-old. 4-year-old.
Is the town getting paid anything? The town isn't getting paid anything, no. The town is paid for the application fee. The application fee covers the cost of the advertisement.
Local restaurants.
I will say the last night, just was the same thing, there was so much talk before the event, and it ended up going off, being so smooth. And I was so happy with everyone that helped me out, I gave a $500 donation to the food pantry, but it's not like getting paid, but I was just pumped because everyone seemed to, once the event was over, say, oh wow, that was it? You know, we expected so much more, and it just seemed like everyone was just in support. Okay, maybe it'll happen one other time, so that was a donation.
Further comments? In favor? Further comments in opposition? Does anyone have any additional comments in opposition of this resolution?
About 1 inch, it takes a century. You tear that ground up an inch, and it takes a century to grow back. That's what they're gonna do over there. I don't have to go to my forest, you just dig it, I'm sure, get information out.
Do we have any further questions?
Does the course go through wetlands?
No.
Okay, I'll ask one more time before I close the public hearing, this will be your last opportunity to have any say on this, before I bring it back to the council. Anyone wish to speak in one more time? Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
can't you do it in your state, or where you do it? Instead of here, why don't you do it in your yard?
John, that's not.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, that's
that really
nice.
doesn't address
That's
this
not nice.
particular thing. Maybe he can, maybe he has, but that's really not relevant to granting or not granting this application. Anything else?
I just want to speak in favor.
Gary?
There's a lot of misconceptions here. I ride bikes, I rode dirt bikes since I was this big. I raced all over New England. beautiful country out here, there's no places. A dirt bike and a four-wheeler in every yard in Boston. And these kids have no place to ride without being in trouble all the time. They ride on their own property, people call the police on their own, in their own backyard. This guy's trying to give people something to do for one day out of a year, and maybe not again for another, who knows when, you know, but I think it's a good event, and it's good for the kids, and the kids in Foster can participate in this, and have a place to go, and ride legally for one day out of their whole life, you know, because everybody's loading their bikes up on trucks, and we're going to Connecticut, we're going to New Hampshire, we're going to Maine to ride. I used to drive to Maine on a Sunday morning to go race, because I had to go 4 hours each way just to go ride my dirt bike legally and enjoy myself. I mean, it's all families, kids, you know, they have them, you know, good times. It's really family oriented. It's not, you know, some crazy thing. These people are all good people, and it's a professional organization. It's not like some guy just decided he's gonna have a bunch of people come over and do it for the day. These guys have done this hundreds of times, and they know what they're doing, and they're very respectful people. And I just want to speak in favor. I think it's a good thing. I know people don't like motorcycles, period, because I've dealt with the stereotype all my life, but it's the person, it's not what they ride.
Anyone else?
Just to go along with what this gentleman said, I used to own 24 acres in West Greenwich. I had 2 boys, and they and their friends would go make dirt, have fun making dirt bike paths, and just being with their friends, and it was great for them. And I think, you know, the kids should be able to do something like that.
Okay, I'll ask one final time for last As long as somebody else stands up, I've got to let them speak, you know? So I'm seeing no hands. Once, twice. Public hearing is closed. Okay. We are now back to the council, for the council to consider this application. Does anyone on the council have any last questions?
I just said, do you want a motion first?
Sure. You can make a motion first and then the questions.
And I'm making it in positive motion. I would move that we accept the application for open recreational events and amusement license for the applicant John Day, or would it be the owner?
First of all, you're gonna move to grant it, not just accept it.
Well, to grant the application for open recreational events, and since it's the land, then it should be.
No, the license goes to John Day, the landowner, that dealt with the zoning law.
Okay, so I move that we grant the application for open recreational events and amusement license to Mr. John Day for October 31st with the stipulations put in place by the planning board.
Second. 1 second. It was by the zoning board.
By the zoning board.
By the zoning board. Second. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
Thank you. May I?
Yes, you may.
Okay. First of all, I didn't catch your name, sir. I didn't catch your name?
Wilmer Livingston.
Livingston. Are you in a butter that was, were you given a letter addressed to you for this meeting tonight?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't see your name on the list of
He's not in the butter.
He's not in a butter. Okay, thank you. Second question, I think you already answered it, Mr. Day. You had said that there would be 1,300 people, but that's spectators and participants
Altogether.
altogether, and you're expecting about 500 participants?
Yes.
Okay. 2 police officers are going to be on duty? Is that in addition to the police officers that are on duty that day?
The detail officers will be, that will be their detail.
So it's not an addition? It is.
We'll have 2 police officers. The detail officers will be paid by John Day.
Thank you. Okay. Your question. So now, I have a question, and when I was reviewing the application, I see here that it says on the application that the owner, leaser of property is Dennis Rambone at 36 Howard Hill Road. But when I look at a letter addressed or given to us, it said I, Linda Fairbanks, give permission for property at 33 and 36 Howard Hill Road. Is that going to be a legality, a question?
Well, first of all, it was up to the planning and then the zoning board to confirm the ownership of those particular parcels that were there. Apparently it was done to their satisfaction.
Okay.
I don't have any reason to believe that that isn't the case.
It was to John Dave's satisfaction, it did come up separately when it was on
Because
To prove ownership?
it says Dennis Rambone on the application, but the letter is from Linda.
2 houses on one property.
It's the same family.
Yeah.
Same family.
I
It's a system.
understand that, I'm just wondering about the legalities of it saying 36 versus 33 and 36.
It's all one property.
I'm not sure it's all on property, but,
Frankly, it wouldn't be our issue in
okay.
the long run.
I will say that the notice to the abutters in the 300 feet for the town council license was 33 and 36.
Okay, that was my, I just wanted to make sure we were legally all set. And they've met, you've got insurance or proof of insurance?
Yeah, what we did last time is, so that I don't go buy the insurance before the event's approved. Once it gets approved, I can go and get it, this week
And then you would
yeah,
provide
exactly.
us a copy of that?
Yep.
Thank you.
And then I already have the 2 ambulances all set for the day, pending tonight's decision.
I have a logistical question. Is the
Yes.
town clerk going to be issuing any license unless till you see that insurance policy, the
No.
insurance rider?
No, once we get that, then we send out the license.
All right.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's not important.
I'll just ask the police chief, Chief, if you've had conversations with Mr. Day, and are all your concerns regarding this event on this particular day and location
Yes.
satisfied?
Yes.
No reservations?
No.
I'd like to add a little bit.
Go ahead.
I was actually sitting in your position when you came in front of us in 2011. There were great concerns. Basically, it's almost the same thing, and we spent quite a bit of time listening to the concerns, and no one was the narrow road. Basically, the same amount of people, and that road is much more narrower than this road, and access in and out was completely different and much harder to get that amount of people in and out. That being said, there was a lot of concerns. It was a dirt road with that amount of traffic, and it was one area where you could only get by one car on a sharp corner. We approved it, it went through, and to my knowledge, not one complaint, one person, even the ones that didn't want it, didn't even complain. It went well, it was well received, it did very well, and I'm gonna weigh my vote to approve this on the same manner, to me, as past practice proves, you're the same person coming forward, I expect the same type of event, and I'm sure it will be. You're very well, polite, and present very well. I feel confident that it will benefit the town, it benefited the town before, it will benefit local businesses, and I think it will go over good. And I will be voting to approve this on how the last one went, and in either difficult area than this one.
Any further council questions or comments? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of granting the license with the conditions as set forth in Mr. Franco's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Didn't hear you.
I'll vote no.
What is it?
I'll vote no.
Vote no. I heard Mr. Rogers was an aye. I'm gonna poll because
Please, sure.
I'm gonna poll. Could you please poll the council, please?
Ms. Sedell, Mr. Franklin,
Aye.
Roger Hawes,
Aye.
Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Estivo,
No.
carries 4-1. I think the zoning board did a decent job. They laid out for us that it is legal, they set all the conditions. Gentlemen is complying. Consider what you heard this evening, the concerns of the people that live nearby, and try to ameliorate any negative effects on them.
Absolutely, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, future agenda items, we have what's listed there, cleaning services in the police station, is there anything else? If not, a motion to go into executive session.